everyone, and welcome back to the channel, Say What's Real TV. This review is for Tyler Perry's Sistas, Season 6, Episode 7, Ordinary Pain. So we open up the episode exactly where we left off last week when Fatima rolled up on the scene and caught Karen kissing Zach on the cheek. So she gets out the car with the manila envelope and she tells Zach she needs to talk to him. And she asks Karen, can she give us a minute? Karen says, well, this is my salon. And Fatima was like, well, we are outside. And she was like, well, you can walk away outside over there. I'm like, girl. So Zach, he gets in between them and him and Fatima go to the side and he automatically starts trying to explain that Karen just only kissed him on the cheek. She didn't even bring it up. She didn't say anything about it. Handed him the paperwork, told him she done filled out most of the papers as it is. All she need him to do is sign. He's getting all smug and smirking to himself like, oh, so you brought these all the way over here for me? Like, see, that's what I'm talking about. You're taking her for granted. She's doing it because the conditions the little boy was in, somebody needs to act like they give a damn. Somebody has to care. Is your son not your priority? He says yes. Fatima was like, is he? And he like, really? Like, yeah, really, Zach, is he? Now, we all saw the conditions that Michael was left in. Probably over there with a 10-pound pamper on with his stomach touching his back. He's not talking, so he can't speak up for himself or choose not to. We're not sure what the issue is there, but somebody has to help him. So whether or not Fatima used the paperwork to pull up to the salon, I really don't even give a damn. I just want somebody to go back over there to get Michael from out of Heather's hands. Now, that is his mother, but I don't like the way the little child is being treated. That's where I'm at with it. It's the child for me. Karen, on the other hand, she's going to be okay. Karen has support. Karen has friends that's willing to support her. She also has Aaron, who she's giving her whole ass to kiss at the moment. And then where is Mama Lisa? They called Mama Lisa 2 or 3 episodes ago, left a message. We haven't heard from her yet. She calling Zach 7:45 in the morning, but she ain't called the mama to tell her whole shop done burned down. So the bottom line is, if Fatima don't get these papers signed so they can get this emergency hearing, when is it going to get done? When is it going to get done? Because Zach over here laughing and playing with Pam and Karen and chopping it up like he don't have a care in the world. So that's why she's doing it in my mind. Okay? So Zach is still just trying to say, it was just a kiss on the cheek type thing. And Fatima was like, look, I don't want to talk about all that right now. Just sign the papers so I can hurry up and get back. And he was like, well, when are we going to talk about it? Like, let me take you to lunch because clearly you got an attitude. Fatima basically dismissed all of that. And she's trying to slam the papers back in the envelope. And he's like, really? And he's mumbling about him going to therapy, I guess, trying to say like it's helping him to deal with her having this attitude. So he notices that her ring is not on her finger. So he asks her, like, where's your ring? Like, in the midst of everything, after everyone has told you that she's in her feelings, she's left the house and don't talk to you. You come to her job, she don't talk to you. And you're talking about a kiss on the cheek. Like nothing else happened prior to that. But okay. So Fatima, she walks off and leaves him standing there. So Messy Pam talking to Karen and asking her about the kiss on the cheek to Zach. And, Karen trying to blow her off, like, go to work, do some work and all of that. And she was like, Aaron saw the kiss and, he kind of mad. He was in there looking all cockeyed. Child, Karen didn't care. She was like, child, Pam, go to work. So Aaron, he comes out obviously in his feelings and he tells her, look, I think I'm going to leave because it seems like you got everything you need already here, referring to Zach. So Pam being messy, like, well, what you got attitude with her, Karen for? Like, you had your woman here. And he says, look, Karen, I'll call you later. Karen didn't give a damn. Karen didn't even look at the man. She said, So Aaron, he stops to talk to Zach. And of course, the two of them get into their usual pissing contest. And he's telling him, like, I know you said that you were done, but apparently Karen is, she still wants you. And basically, to me, you're still playing both of them. And Zach was like, well, when the last time you played with your kids? Do they miss their mom? You're the father of the year. And I'm like, wow, really, Zach? Like, I just feel like Zach is so insensitive when it comes to that particular situation. Like, you really, really need to be careful of the things that you say to people and how you treat people. Because you never know when that shoe is going to be on the other foot. Because just in this whole situation, early on, Fawn's brother had you cleaning up Karen's apartment with the blood and all of that. And Karen ain't give a damn about you. And now Aaron in there cleaning up her salon, and Karen don't give a damn about Aaron because she wants Zach. It's funny how things quickly change. But, whatever. So the two of them, they're going back and forth about, I know you, you don't know me, watch yourself, all this crazy stuff. Zach threatening to beat the man up again. And he was like, that's what you do. You always so quick to anger. Zach has to let him know that he's going to therapy. Aaron was like, well, good for you. So Aaron, he leaves. And then Zach was like, I hope nobody dies on your way home or whatever. And I'm like, see, there you go again, Zach. Be careful of the things that you say and how you treat people, because that crap might turn around. And I feel like Zach is very cocky lately. He just feels like his shit don't stink. Like, even with the whole situation with Fatima, it's like, it's whatever. She can get over it. Everything cool. It's cool and copacetic. Just like he just have this cockiness about himself right now. And he need to turn that all the way down. So Zach, he walks back over there with Pam and Karen. And Pam was like, I like this Zach. Like, I love this Zach. I'm like, I don't. I mean, Zach is pretty much giving me insensitive, selfish, and slow as hell. So she was teasing them, talk about, oh, I feel a Zacharin coming on. Like, I know it's a Zatima, but I think it's a Zacharin coming on. They like, what? So Pam says, well, I guess I'll go because y'all don't have nowhere else to hunch and you already pregnant. So we good. So Pam, she makes some little slick comment when she leaves. And Zach was like, they joking and laughing about it. But Zach says, well, why do you even keep her around? She always got something to say. So Karen says, oh, because she's poor. That's the only reason, because she's poor. I'm like, well, why she got to be poor, Karen? I mean, you the one around here letting your whole insurance policy lapse. But, I mean, okay then, girl. So Zach, he asked Karen, can they go somewhere so they can have a talk? And she was like, sure, but we need to look at the damage first, as if there's some kind of claim adjusters or something all of a sudden. So Zach tells Karen that, I'm going to go look at the damage. You stay out here. And he grabs her arm, and it was just like real sensual and gentle and caring. And I could see how Karen would get, in her feels and wanting that old thing back, thinking that Zach really, really is into her and wanting her back. He is being very misleading, even though, of course, we can see that Zach does not look out the same lens as everybody else. Zach doesn't see anything wrong with how he's operating and how he's moving. So he's just trying to be as nice and caring as possible, I guess, but he doesn't see that, it's affecting other people in different ways. So I can see how Karen can feel misled by whatever, but, she's giving him this little dreamy eyes and gazing into his eyes, and, they're smiling and cheesing, and I'm like, child, I just feel like at the end of the day, this is not going to end the way Karen thinks it's going to end. So when we go over there to the lawyer's office, he's trying to reassure them that, basically he was just giving them the options that are there for them and that he is good at what he does. So Sabrina and Maurice, they're like, oh, they can't go back to jail. The lawyer, he tells them, look, I got another meeting I got to go to. It was nice meeting the both of you, as if Calvin wasn't sitting there, and told them to see their way out of his office. So he leaves. And now all of a sudden we getting this whole thing with Maurice, like he wants this big pity party and, oh, go ahead and just blame me. And okay, yeah, Maurice, you already know it's your fault, so we're not going through this again. Like, we've had the same conversation like 50,000 times, and he's saying that he's going to do this and do that to Q, and talking about how he gonna gut him like a fish. And Sabrina, she gets real mad at him and, tries to give him a piece of her mind. He basically needs to take responsibility so they can figure it out and do it the right way. So Sabrina, she storms off, and Calvin, he's trying to get Maurice to leave the office, and he's like, no, I'm not going back to jail. I cannot go back to that place. I'm like, Maurice, just last episode, couldn't nobody tell you nothing, and you claim you was ready to get back up to them little pieces that was up in there. Now you facing reality now, and you singing a different tune. Your behind really needs to grow the hell up. That's just the bottom line. So we go over there to the airport, and we see Q and Danny. So he rolls up, and she's like, don't talk to me. And what does he do? Talk to her. He's just like a Zach. Like, no matter the demeanor of the person, the tone of their voice, it's like it just bounces right off. Like it doesn't register in their head like what the person is saying or how they're acting. Like, look, it's just basically, I don't give a damn what you talking about. I'm going to do what I want to do. Or they just slow as hell one. I don't know. But he's carrying on about, how he got shot, and Danny's like, good. So he basically told her that he had to work the gate. They really don't have to talk. He don't want to be there. And he in there on some pain medication, because we know Logan told him he need to get his butt back to work. So, Danny didn't care about any of that. And she was like, how do you even sleep at night? So Q says not so well, as if he really felt like Danny was being concerned. And then he was like, not like the night I stayed at your house. And she just looked at him with such disgust. Like, if looks could kill, Q would have been gone. He was like, I still love you though. So they continue on with their little banter back and forth. And Danny was just like, man, just get up out my face. Get your roll on. And he said no. So she was like, oh, it's a no. So Danny slightly and politely rolled him into a crowd full of people in the airport. We don't even know where Q ended up at. So Sabrina, she calls Danny and tells her that she's real stressed out because she just left the lawyer's office. And he told her that she could be facing 15 years. So Danny was like, well, what happened? So Sabrina tells her that Q is their witness. And Danny was like, well, he's at work right now. So Sabrina wants to know how is that even possible, because he just got shot. So Danny had to tell her, like, look, I don't know what kind of gun was used, but other than him sitting in the wheelchair, he looks fine. So Sabrina was like, begging her, can she get her in there to see him so she can talk to him? And Danny was like, girl, that's not going to work on nobody like Q. And she was like, please, begging her. She was like, girl, like, all right, but I'll try to get you a badge or whatever, but I don't want you to do nothing stupid, like get your hopes up. So Sabrina told Danny basically, just stop. Like, you acting like Maurice now, like you're being silly. And she said, well, what did Maurice say? So Sabrina told her that Maurice said that he wants to get rid of Q. And Danny was like, well, what's the problem? I see no problems. Let him do that. No face, no case. So we go over there to the law firm, and Fatima runs into Tamara, and she's like, what the hell? Like, what are you doing here? Tamara was like, well, I'm waiting for Hayden to come out of the office. And Fatima looks down and sees her hand, and she says, I know that's not what I think it is. Tamara tells her, yep, I'm married now. Like, I took him down to Vegas and we got married. Fatima says, well, that's taking this thing way too far. Like, that's just too much. You don't even know him. She said, well, you're the one that told me to go get it, so I'm getting it. Like, I'm getting all the bag. I'm taking him for everything. So Fatima says, well, that's just wrong. This is too much. Like, I'm done with the scheming and the scamming of this plan. So don't call me anymore. I don't need any more updates. I'm good. Just do you. So Tamara was like, well, you're not mad, are you? She said, no, just do you. I just don't want any more to do with this whole scheme. So Tamara was like, well, we're married now. Fatima said, well, that's fine. Just leave me out of it. That's good. Just do you. And she walks off. And I'm like, well, I'm really not understanding what the big deal is, because if he's actually married and has a wife to tend to, that's even more of a reason that he doesn't have time to be worrying about what Zach and Fatima over there doing. So I don't see what the problem is. So Andy, she goes into Fatima's office, and Fatima tells her that she went to the salon to have Zach sign the papers to give to the attorney. And she's like, well, I'll take them to the attorney for you. So she sits down and asks Fatima what's wrong with her. She tells her all about the little kiss on the cheek thing, and she's glad that she went to the salon because she felt like she needed to see that. And she says when things are staring her in her face, then that's when she needs to deal with it or whatever. Andy tries to give her some advice and says, I'm sure that's not what it was. Just give Zach the opportunity to explain what happened or what's going on. So Andy, she says, look, I'm sorry that you're going through all of this right now, and I got your back all the way, but we do have another meeting coming up, and I need to know if you're ready. Basically, like, girl, we ain't got time for you and your man problems. We need to get to this paper. So Fatima claims she's ready. Andy was like, that's my girl. I'm like, see, Andy, you the one get your own self in trouble because now they're going to say you picking sides again. So Gary, he calls Hayden to give him an update on the background search of Tamara and tells him so far she looks clean as a whistle, but he's going to have somebody do a little deeper search. So Gary was like, well, did you file those annulment papers? And Hayden was like, not yet. She's in the office now. I'm getting ready to talk to her. And Hayden, still skeptical about the whole thing, is like, man, I don't even know what I was thinking. So those two get to talking about, people do dumb things in life. We've all been there, done that. And bottom line, Gary talking about, is Andy there? And then he want to know if Robin is there. And he was like, I'm going to come down there. And Hayden like, for what? He was like, because I want to talk to Andy. I'm like, ooh, these bugaboo men, Jesus. And he was like, but hey, when I get there, I'm going to pretend like I'm coming to see you. I'm like, oh my God, these men are a trip. So Tamara, she finally makes it in Hayden's office after saying he was coming out. But I guess since he never did, she went into his office on her own. So she sits down and Hayden giving her the cold shoulder, acting like he made the biggest mistake of his life. Like his whole demeanor is totally different. And she's like, oh, I've never met your mom and you haven't met mine. And he's looking like, no, I haven't. So Tamara is like, husband, I can do something for you. I know it's something that's never been done to you before. Like, let me show you what that mouth do. And Hayden, he's looking like, no, Tamara, like, I can't do that. Like, I'm in my office. I have windows. People can actually see you. Tamara is like, that makes it all the better. So I guess she's into that. And she was like, let me just show you. And, she was like, lean back. Like, and, she gets down there and it was all she wrote from there. He looking all crazy, talking about, oh, you play too much. I'm like, yeah, but you sure not stopping, are you? So we get a scene with Calvin and Maurice. And Calvin is basically trying to tell Maurice, like, look, I know that you're stressing out about your bills and your rent and stuff. Like, I do real estate. And Maurice started laughing like, I haven't seen you work a day since I met you. So he was like, I was just thinking. Calvin told him, maybe you can just go ahead and get your real estate license. And of course, Maurice started Mauricing and being silly or whatever. So he basically was like, I got a cousin that's going to do what I need him to do when it comes to Q. So they have this whole little banter back and forth about don't do that. And, that's not the way to go and all this and that. And basically that was it. So there was no getting through to Maurice because he's like, look, I'm already facing 15 years. And that's kind of like life to me. So he was like, Calvin, like, I'm going to work. So notice that this season, Calvin has been going to quote unquote work now. Before, he never was saying that. So when Calvin walks out the door, Maurice act like he done switched personalities and he had this whole little jingle and they played this little eerie music with it. And he was like, I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you. that fool, doing his hands all twisting and turning with the music. I'm like, is this fool switching in and out of personalities on us? I'm like, Maurice kind of cuckoo. So Gary, he makes it to the firm and he goes into Hayden's office. And of course, Hayden is sitting in his chair, oohing and ahhing, irking and jerking, making all these faces. And Gary was like, you all right? You good? And he was like, not really. So he was like, look, I brought you this file on your girl. So Hayden was like, oh, no, no, we can't talk about that right now. This is not the time. And Gary was like, why not? You told me I can come here anytime I want. So they're going back and forth about that. So Hayden, he's begging Gary to just give him a minute. Please give him a minute. So Gary, he doesn't care. He's starting to walk behind the desk, and Hayden was like, please do not come behind this desk. Do not come behind the desk. So that was like saying, come behind the desk for Gary like a little kid. So he goes and look anyway. And he was like, oh, Lord, no. Like, put that thing away. Like, man, you're weird. So I don't know if he actually saw Tamara or he just saw that he was naked from the waist down. So Hayden ends up yelling like, man, I don't even have no privacy in my own office. And Gary, he ends up walking out, and Hayden looks down at Tamara like, you good? Like, as if to say, keep on going. So we go over there to the airport, and Sabrina, she gets the badge from Danny, and Danny lets her know, look, I don't know what you're talking about. You didn't get that from me, okay? So she goes over there. She starts talking to Q, trying to have this heart-to-heart. And at first, Q didn't want to hear any of that, saying, look, I already told Maurice, it's not going to work. So she's like, you basically ruined my life. I don't deserve this. And Q was like, well, I deserve this. And she tells him that she forgives him. And she actually touches his hand in some little tender moment. And we actually get a tear fall from Q's eyes. So I don't know what's triggering for Q. Like, I don't know if maybe he's been taken advantage of as far as his body, because he says that a lot. Like, all the men do is just want to use him for his body. So I don't know if he is being prostituted out or something. I don't know what's going on with Q, but he sheds this tear and gets real vulnerable and emotional. And, they end up leaving him there. And, Sabrina talks to Danny like, there's no getting through to him. And Danny was like, well, if what you were talking about with him doesn't work, then it's not going to work. So it just is what it is. So Danny is trying to tell her, like, kind of let it go. And Sabrina, like, it's kind of hard when you're facing 15 years. Like, I don't want to go to jail. So Danny's reassuring her, like, look, you're not going to go to jail. We got you. We'll work through this. So Sabrina's like, I'll call you later. So she ends up leaving. So do you guys think that with Sabrina talking to Q and him getting into his feelings and emotions, will he end up doing the right thing? So we go to this little cafe where we see Aaron on the phone talking to someone, and Pam is in the background taking it all in because, Pam don't miss a beat. So we hear his conversation, and he's telling the person like, oh, I apologize for that. I'm really sorry. It's not like that anymore. At least not now. It's not. And, can we meet somewhere, meet in our favorite spot? And, he ends up hanging up the phone, and Pam, she runs over to him. She don't give a damn. She's being nosy like, who was that? Like, that's her man. Who was that? And he was like, stop being nosy, Pam. So Aaron, he's like, why? So you can run back and tell Karen? And he ends up telling her that it was Jennifer on the phone. He asks Pam, like, what is this hole that Zach has on Karen? Like, and Pam was like, I don't know. You tell me. He says he's sick and tired of her running behind Zach every chance she gets. And he has done absolutely everything that he could to show her how much that he loved her. And Pam was like, well, you love her so much, but you over here using this other woman. And he said, I'm not using Jennifer. I've been nothing but upfront with her. Now, Aaron, if you were nothing but upfront with Jennifer, she would not have been all up at that salon, carrying on the way she was, saying how wrong you did her, and calling you by John. Like, no, you have not been upfront, sir. You have not. And then this scene really shows just how much of a liar you are, because, and I asked you, where were you all that time when you left the salon to go to the so-called police station to file this restraining order? I've been asking you, where were you all day long? Now, if you were at the police station to file a restraining order, you would not be meeting Jennifer in your quote-unquote favorite spot. You would not. So you are a liar. You are a liar, John Aaron. Okay? Period, point blank. Your ass is lying. So Pam says that she gonna sit right there until Jennifer get there so she can meet her for the second time. And Aaron picks up the phone and calls the person back and says, hey, meet me somewhere else. It's been a change of plans. So he walks out the door, and Pam says, well, I guess I'm just going to have to follow you. Now, Pam, I don't know why you going to do all of that, girl, because it's really not that serious like that, because your girl over there with Zach. So let that man go be with Jennifer, but you can't go report to Karen that, yeah, girl, he was on the phone with her. He was on the phone, but you playing a dangerous game because you don't know if you're messing with John or you're messing with Aaron. So we go back over there to the law firm where Fatima and Andy are in a meeting, and we meet Mrs. Porter. So she comes in and, introduces herself, and she tells all about her husband. He's a doctor, and she explains their whole situation. And basically, he is Gary and Zach wrapped up into one. She met him. He was a whole married man. So now she feels like her karma is coming back on her. She also told how she caught him with his ex like 3 different times. And it's just like those bullets was touching and agreeing with Fatima and Andy's spirit. They was ducking and dodging. Andy over there lying. The lady was like, does this sound familiar? Andy like, no. I'm like, girl, stop lying. So I thought Gary was actually going to walk by the window because he is in the firm trying to talk to her. And I would have been hollering like, wow, right on time. So she basically told them that she feels sorry for them because the generation of men that they're dealing with are boys. She comes from a group where she was dealing with real men that like to work hard and long hours. Zach ain't working no hours at nobody's job, nowhere, not even his own. So there's no hard working going on. All they doing is running up to these women's jobs like Gary is right now and stalking and being just, annoyances. That's all they good for. So the lady was like, look, if you got a man, make sure he the right man for you because you don't want to get to be 60 years old and still trying to figure it out. So she also tells them no matter how much you love them, make sure you protect yourself. Like, don't let them take your life, your money, or your man. And Andy was like, your man? So Miss Porter was like, keep you one dangling. You don't have to sleep with him. You can still be faithful. Just keep your options open. She said you don't want to get to be 60 and still trying to figure it out. Just find you a little side piece right now. So Andy, she thanked her for all of her wisdom, and Miss Porter told him to bill her $500 to the husband, and she was out. So after Mrs. Porter leaves, Fatima, she has this whole little revelation, and she just starts crying, and she's like, Andy, what are we doing? What are we doing? Like, I don't want to live like that. I don't want to be like Mrs. Porter. She's not happy. And, she's like, all I want to do is love him. But, is it him or is it me? Am I being the fool? She's like, well, she is convinced, Fatima is convinced that Zach is still in love with Karen. And she says she does not want to go through her whole life with Zach knowing that he is still in love with her. And Andy, she's starting to cry now, and she's trying to talk her down off the ledge. And, she was like, we can talk about this later. And Fatima's like, look, I'm done. Where's the ring? And the episode ends there. Ooh-wee. This week's episode had a lot going on. I think I got to pull a Fatima and I got to go process this. I don't know. So what do you guys think about this week's episode? Drop down in the comments below so we can have a discussion about it. That trailer for next week is going to be on and popping. So, as always, you guys, thank you for watching. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.